Alright, when I asked at the end of the cutting series if you guys wanted me to take Vivyen through the reverse diet and document that as well, it was very clear you wanted me to do that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start that series today. However, I wanted to say first, I know I haven't done a video in a couple weeks and I'm working on something big. I'm hoping you're really going to like it. I know I typically just do informational stuff and get it out, and that's what I love, and I know that's what you come here for most of the time. However, every once in a while, I like to do a really high quality, high production value video. It's something that I enjoy doing every once in a while, but it takes a lot. Like, I'm literally probably going to put in 40 to 50 hours worth of editing into this video. So look for that in the next, hopefully, week or so. And I hope you really like it when it comes out. And then I'll be back to the more normal, more frequent content after that comes out. Now, as far as what to expect during this series, I wanted to mention this is going to be a little bit different now. So the last reverse diet series, if you watched that one, was taking her through kind of improving her metabolism, improving her relationship with food, coming out of a history of binging and restricting yo-yo dieting behavior, and putting her back into a position to be able to see success, which, as you saw through the cutting series, worked very well. So now this time it's about coming out of the cut and trying to retain your results best you can while getting calories back up, getting hormones to improve, get yourself back into a better place where you can be more flexible and things like that, because that's her main goal here, is to try to retain results best she can and then go after some more fat loss again next year while enjoying more balance and flexibility through the rest of this year. Because remember, no matter what your goals are, when you're done dieting, your metabolism will be suppressed. There's no way around this. Your hormones are going to be messed up, and you need to take time to put yourself back into a better position so you're not stuck on a life of low calories, feeling like crap, and things like that. A lot of people fear going through the reverse diet, or feeling like if they do that, they're just going to continue to gain and lose the exact same weight over and over. So I'm hoping by documenting this, you'll see that's not how this works if done right. Now, the first thing you have to establish when starting a reverse diet after a cut is if you want a faster or slower approach and what matters most to you. Always remember, the faster you increase calories and reduce cardio, the more likely you are to gain additional weight, but the faster you're gonna be able to feel better, enjoy more food, and all that type of stuff. While the slower you take it, the less likely you are to gain, but the longer it's gonna take to get all those benefits. Vivyen said she wanted to take more of a moderate approach and focus at first on getting cardio and activity down quicker so she could free up more free time. And that's another balance you have to keep in mind too. You can increase calories faster or reduce cardio faster. It just depends. Do you want more food faster, or do you want to do less activity faster? It's all about what's most important to you, and there are no right or wrong answers. Keep in mind as well, while maintaining weight best you can is the goal here, you have to be okay with a little bit of weight gain and not get so caught up in feeling like I need to just maintain exact weight all the time forever. It does not work that way, and it's more of like a weight range. And what we're doing here is just trying to minimize things and create more balance and flexibility, as I've said. Plus, you have to remember any initial weight gain, especially the first couple pounds, can easily be attributed to things like increased glycogen storage that's going to be depleted from the dieting you've done. You do not want to get trapped in trying to maintain your exact weight forever. That is the fastest way to live an absolutely miserable life. So anyway, given she wanted to have a more moderate approach and get activity down quicker, what I did for the first week of her reverse was I increased her carbs by 30 and her fat by 5, which was a 165 calorie bump, while reducing her cardio from 210 minutes for the week down to 90 minutes. To explain why I made these decisions, I wanted to say, remember, in the first week, we can be more aggressive, especially for her. She was clearly in a deficit, weight loss was moving just fine, and also keep in mind, we got a little bit more aggressive just for that last week, just to make a final push. So it's not like she was adapted to what we were doing, so we could afford to be a little bit more aggressive. And that's why especially I made such a drastic reduction in cardio. That's probably more than I'd usually do, but I felt like it would be pretty safe in this instance. But either way, as I've explained in previous videos, you can typically be more aggressive the first week, and then the following weeks, the changes will most likely be much smaller. The other option you have when starting the reverse is, do you want to just have a straight up approach with calories where you eat roughly the same each day and also leave yourself the flexibility of going up and down a little bit if you want? Or do you want to have specific high and low day calories like Vivyen had for the majority of her cut? Because especially early on in the reverse, hunger is probably going to be pretty high and you might want a couple of higher day calories. Vivyen decided she wanted the same calorie target daily, and with those changes we made, the first week went great as she only gained about 1/10 of a pound. So we were off to a good start, but the big question I had for her was hunger, because despite what many people believe, reverse diet hunger is often not only just as bad as it is during the cut, but oftentimes even worse. Thankfully, at least for now, she said hunger wasn't too bad, or at least not worse than usual, and she enjoyed the extra flexibility of having a higher calorie target so she could include different types of foods that she hadn't been able to include previously. Now, based on her results from week 1, the changes I made going into week 2 was I added 10 grams of carbs, which is 40 calories, and reduced her cardio from 90 minutes down to 75. She mentioned at the start she'd like to get her cardio down to 30 minutes for the week, which is fine with me. I typically recommend keeping about 30 to 60 minutes in almost regardless of what your goals are, just because I like to have a little cardio in there for the general health benefits that come with it. Also, there's benefits for work capacity in the gym and things like that. So I don't typically recommend doing no cardio, but you definitely want to get it back down again. So when you do cut again down the road, you can increase cardio to start seeing results again. Keep in mind, however, it depends on what your goals are. And if you just want to get to a point of doing as much cardio as you want and roughly maintaining, that's a different story, especially if you really like cardio and want to do more. That doesn't mean you have to get it down to that lower amount. We had also been keeping track of her steps and talked about how she could start lowering that step count, and while I hadn't really been giving her target steps, knowing she wanted to get more time and less activity in, that's something that she could start controlling too and just ease up on general activity. For the week, she said things went pretty well. She did have a little bit more fat than usual, as she said that she had some family get-togethers where there was fattier cuts of meats that she had and things like that. But keep in mind, one of the things I always stress is what's more important than anything is your total calories and your protein intake. So if you interchange some carb and fat calories to be more flexible, that's totally fine. That doesn't mean there isn't any benefit at all of more strict macro tracking, but we also have to be able to live our lives. And this is a good way to increase flexibility while still getting the same results. So this did lead to calories being a little bit high, but you know what? It was still well within an acceptable range. She also had a little bit of extra cardio as she miscalculated, but it was only an extra 10 minutes, so no big deal there. And as always, I just can't stress, I don't want you getting caught up and feeling like you have to be perfect with things. Anyway, with all that said, she ended up only gaining another roughly 1/10 of a pound. So clearly after 2 weeks, things are off to a great start. She did mention she was a little hungrier this week, but she also mentioned she was also extra tired and that can affect things. And regardless, like I said, hunger is something to be expected in a reverse, and everyone's a little bit different. Some people notice an immediate impact on hunger levels and they just become absolutely ravenous right away as soon as they start increasing calories. For other people, they may be fine for a while and not notice any difference, and then all of a sudden a handful of weeks later, it picks up out of nowhere and gets really intense. For other people, they may not notice a difference at all. Everyone's always asking, like, is what I'm going through normal? But there really is no normal. There are certainly patterns I seek, but everyone always responds differently, and we always have to remember that with all the stuff we do. Normal isn't really something you need to worry about. What you need to worry about is how well are you executing the plan and what are you doing based on that. No matter what, it's going to take time for hormones to improve and stabilize, and you just have to be patient and understand that it's always worth getting away from short-term gratification and playing that long game. The biggest reason a lot of people struggle through this process is because they can't take how hungry they are or how they're feeling, and they end up way overeating, and what's worse is they may gain faster than they want and then go right back into a diet again, and that just opens up a huge can of worms you don't want to go down. And that's why I'm excited to take you through this process and see how things go when you remain patient and go through this process. Anyway, the changes I made for week 3 was to increase carbs by 5 and fat by 3, which is a 47 calorie increase, and I also reduced cardio to 60 minutes for the week. And honestly, I probably could have been more aggressive given her calories and cardio a bit up last week, but I figured she was doing okay as a whole and she wants to maintain best she can. I thought it made sense just to be a little bit safer and make more of a normal increase. By the way, I know gaining weight after weight loss is a common thing and there's a lot of reasons why this happens. And if this is something you struggled with, I want to make sure you check out this top video next to see why this happens and make sure it doesn't happen to you again and you set yourself up for long-term success. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll see you next time.